Hello, 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 family. I am back. And I have something to share. I have a word. It's not necessarily a word, but more of an encouragement. I know that, many of you have followed me for a while and kind of followed my journey. And so I just want to share something. When I gave God my yes and I asked him to order my steps, I didn't know what that was going to look like. And I want to say this. There has been some truly, truly scary times. There's been some things God has led me to do that I would have never done. Places that he sent me that I would never go. All because I trust that what God knows is better than what I know. Beyond my fears, beyond my doubts, beyond the things that I can't see, I trust God anyway. My faith in God has been bigger than my fears. For my family, they can tell you I was always the scary child. I never stepped out of the box. I never did anything different. When all of my siblings stayed in Miami, I went with my mom and daddy because I just was not that child. I wasn't a risk taker. I wasn't a let me see for myself. I always stayed near to my family. I always stayed near to my mom and dad. Even if that cost me my happiness, even if it made me depressed at times, because I was limited by fear. But let me tell you something. When I asked God to order my steps, and there's some steps that he's had me to take that has been truly terrifying. Like I can't even explain how afraid I've been, how worried I've been, but I operated in the fear. I remained obedient in the fear. I remained obedient in the doubt. And I just want to share that you never know where God is taking you. When I prayed and I cried out to God for a church home, I didn't know where it was going to be. I didn't know where God was going to send me. But when he sent me to California, I never thought in a million years that I would grace the doors of a church that felt like home. It was the most beautiful experience for me. I've never felt so loved. I've never felt so accepted. I've never felt. And when God told me, no longer hidden, he told me that you're no longer hidden. And when I tell you, it just seemed like people went out of their way to bring me comfort. People went out of their way to make me feel welcome. People went out of their way. Even someone walking up to me and asking me to record a video in a church I had never been in a place. You have to understand my life and my journey to understand why this hit so hard. And with everything that I have gone through these last few years and giving God my yes and doing it alone, to finally walk into a place where people share in what I've been through. Like, I don't know why God sent me to this place, but he's showing me more and more every day that there is purpose to my life. There is purpose to your life, but you can't do it afraid. You can't let fear keep you from the things that God has for you, because I would have never experienced what I experienced on last night had I not trust God enough to operate in the obedience, to move across the state, to be 3,000 miles away from everybody I know and love, because he has a purpose for me. And then on top of that, he sat somebody next to me who spoke into my life right next to me. And of all those hundreds of people, because this was a paid event, so everybody wasn't there. It wasn't thousands of people. It was just hundreds of people. But the person that he sat next to me was a veteran of that church. The person he sat next to me was an RN just like me. And the seat was empty. And this is how God works. Somebody else sat in the seat. And then one of the servant leaders came and moved her to a different seat because God knew he needed that particular person to come and sit next to me. And when I left there with a sister in Christ that we exchanged phone numbers. And she texted me this morning. Let me tell y'all something. When you give God your yes and then you trust him in that, when you trust him to order your steps, you do not know all the things he has for you. I don't know when they will post my testimony from last night, but when they do, I will share it, and then you all will know the church that God sent me. But let me tell you something. God is doing something, and it's not through everybody. It is very important that you attach yourself to those people that God truly uses, that God truly is with them, and they walk in obedience and humility, because that matters. That matters. Jesus was never arrogant. Jesus was never grandiose. So if you're under a leader that has these particular characteristics, ask God, are you in the right place? Ask God, am I serving under the right person so that I can get what you need me to have? Let me tell you something. I've never known that my life would be this way. And I'm gonna tell y'all, like, this is a tough time in my life. Losing my dad and all this, and God kept telling me, and then I tell y'all the obstacles stacked up against me to keep me from going to this church. Things happened at work that were unexpected. I mean, it just seems like the enemy was just trying. And after I got there, I understood why. Because when I tell you, they touched on everything that I have been dealing with, all the questions that I needed answers to. Man, for this man of God, for this woman of God to start out talking about loss and grief, man, it took all I can do not to break down in that place, because that's where I am right now. But I pushed through because I know this pain, it has purpose. And now I know that me being here, it has purpose, and it is worth it. It is worth it. So many times we try to protect ourselves from the hurt. So many times we try to protect ourselves from the pain. But God had to show me that you are resilient in me. Years ago, God told me, you're an overcomer. He sent somebody to speak that into my life, and I'm still overcoming obstacle after obstacle, but I refuse to give up. I refuse to let what happened to me in the natural deter me from the spiritual. I refuse to give in to the enemy. And I need you to do the same thing, because God is powerful, and through him you can overcome anything. I am living proof. I don't think I've ever felt pain like the pain I feel when I think about my dad not being here anymore. But still I stand. Still I push forward. Still I inspire. Still I uplift, because that's what God called me to do. And there is purpose in your pain. There is purpose for the things you've endured. God had to show me you had to lose your brother, being separated from your family, because this is going to help you with dealing with your dad and being away from your family. It prepared me. And while it's not easy, y'all, I trust God so much, and I love the Lord so much, that even on my worst day, I give him all the glory. I give him all the honor. I give him all the praise. Because even on my worst day, as long as I got Jesus, it is my best day. So I need y'all to push through. Trust God. Don't be afraid. Stop letting people tell you what you can't do. Stop letting people tell you. Stop letting your hurt, your emotions lead you and guide you. Stop letting the offense keep you from your purpose. You got purpose, and it's bigger than you. There is somebody out there that needs you, and you got to push forward. What I experienced in all of my life going to church, I've never felt so loved, and I cannot wait to share with you all where I received that love. And I just thank God. I love y'all. And I will be back more often with more of what God has for me to share, because finally, I don't feel so burdened. Finally, I feel like I'm coming out of that dark place. Finally, I'm feeling like I am not drowning in a sea of sorrow. So I know God is going to do some beautiful things out here in California, and I can't wait to share them with y'all. It's amazing. I gotta say this. There's the place that I work. Oh, so many people come up to me and say things like, I feel like you hear Jesus, or I feel like you see things other people don't see. And it's amazing how God uses you and you don't even know who's watching. And this place is very broken, and there's a lot of work that goes into me doing the things God has me doing there. And I got to the point where I was questioning God, and I'm like, God, you got me at this place. It needs a lot of work. And are you sure I can do this? Because right now I ain't myself. Like, this grief is really getting me, God. Like, I can't even think straight. And God told me, this is going to prepare you for where I'm taking you. So last night, when that lady sat next to me and she asked me what I did, and we started talking, and now she was asking me about where I work, and she said, this is just the beginning. God is taking you. He's elevating you. This is to prepare you. And oh man, I said, you just don't know what you've said. She has no clue that she was confirmation for me. Let me tell you something. If you give God your all, he's going to give it all back to you and more. Okay? God is amazing. And I just wanted to share that because somebody needed that. Don't you dare let fear keep you from your walk, your purpose. And let me tell you something. Everybody's ministry ain't on the stage. Everybody's ministry is not in a church. And I know that my ministry is not for now anyway. That where God is sending me, I am healing people everywhere I go. So let me tell y'all something. Don't you let fear keep you from where God is trying to send you, to grow you, to attach you to people that is going to elevate you, okay? I love y'all, and I will be back soon with more from God.